What happens when the White House stops being the people's house and turns into a family business empire? The New Yorker has just revealed what many feared. The Trump presidency wasn't just about power, it was about profit.
Well, what's important here is that I'm trying to be fair to the president. I'm not out to get Trump here. I went through and looked at all the sources of income, the income streams flowing into the Trump organization, the president and his family, and I asked, is this money that he would have made absent the presidency?
Billions of dollars flowed not only into the nation, but into the family brand. From crypto schemes to foreign towers, the presidency itself became a cash register. This isn't just corruption, it's a frenzy that could rewrite how America remembers its own democracy. But how is he doing all that? Let's find out. The New Yorker's revelation was more than an article, it was an earthquake. For years, whispers swirled about Trump's conflicts of interest. But now, the receipts are laid bare. Billions funneled into family pockets. Imagine the world's most powerful office being treated like a personal ATM. While past presidents worried about legacy, this one seemed obsessed with leverage.
Yeah, the hats. I was quite surprised to realize that in addition to the campaign merchandise sold by his campaign, which all candidates and all presidents do, that's money that goes into the campaign coffers that he can't really touch for personal purposes. The Trump organization also has its own online store, and they sell all kinds of Trump merchandise that looks very much like its campaign merchandise, but this money flows to Trump and himself. You know, $20, $40 for a pair of flip-flops, a pair of beer koozies, a baseball hat. He's making, you know, millions of dollars. You know, I don't know, forget what the exact number was, but $20 million over the last few years selling this kind of merchandise, which is arguably competing with his own campaign and diverting some of the money that his supporters might think is supporting the MAGA movement and his candidates to his own pocket. That's the small end. Nobody thinks that anybody who's paying $50 for a baseball hat is actually going to get any influence, you know, over the president in return for that. That's just a way of making money. On the other extreme, there's significant amounts of money flowing into the Trump organization now through its various, or the president's various crypto enterprises. Some of these, you know, predate his return to the White House, but I tried to look here at the, you know, all the money that they made off of the White House over the course of the 2 terms and the time in between when he remained a kind of kingmaker in the Republican Party. So. And most of it has happened around his second term, you know, shortly before through his second term.
From day one, the White House became a marketplace. This is not just politics, it's profiteering on a scale America has never seen before. And the cracks in democracy are showing for everyone to see. The biggest shock? Cryptocurrency. A presidency once draped in America First slogans turned into crypto first. Over $2.3 billion in profit from meme coins, stable coins, and tokens branded with the Trump name. The family wasn't selling policies, they were selling digital fantasies.
Okay, well, here you go. So first of all, for people who might not be familiar with crypto, all it is really is a kind of online ledger or spreadsheet keeping track of who owns what. There's a number of ways that the Trump family has tried to take advantage of this new technology. He started out by selling NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which are basically sort of digital cartoons of himself. Then he moved on to setting up a company. His family, his son set up a company called World Liberty Financial, and that's done a couple things. It sold a kind of token or online certificate that would ostensibly allow somebody to vote on whatever its futures plans in the crypto business might be. They raised, you know, $550 million selling those tokens, and 75% of that flows to the Trump organization. Then it went into a new business selling what's known as a stable coin. A stable coin is basically the online equivalent of a dollar. It's not really an investment, it's just a kind of like almost a checking account. It's a way to transfer money here and there, perhaps more efficiently by doing it digitally. For the company, World Liberty Financial, they get to make money off of investing that money in treasuries while it's out in the world circulating as a stablecoin. So they go into the stablecoin business. Their first customer is a company owned by the United Arab Emirates that puts up $2 billion to buy stablecoin. While that money is out circulating as stablecoin, they're going to get about 4% a year on that, I calculate, by investing it in short-term treasuries. So that's a couple. There's a few others he's gone into. His meme coin is perhaps the most famous. President Trump, right around the time he was elected, before he was inaugurated, went into this business selling a kind of online novelty, basically just a joke. It's a kind of digital certificate that just allows you to say, I paid money to own a little Trump novelty. That's it. That's all it is. There's nothing to it. And it doesn't even purport to sort of hold wealth, although you can trade it back and forth. He's made about $300 million selling those meme coins.
Imagine your president launching coins like Dollar Trump while deciding national policy. It's not just a side hustle, it's a new empire. The irony is painful. Millions of Americans struggling with inflation, while the first family speculated their way into a blockchain fortune, cloaked in patriotism but fueled by greed.
Well, what's most remarkable is the number of transactions, the number of deals, the number of ways that the family has sought to make money. And I should tell you, when I set out, my method here was first, look at some stream of income and decide, one, is it coming from the presidency? Does it depend on the presidency? And two, how much have they made out of it? So in that category, Truth Social and the company that holds it, Trump Media and Technology Group, is definitely depending on the presidency. In the last month, the biggest chunk of what I'm calling their money from crypto has come through Trump Media and Technology Group. It has a stock that is basically a kind of financial indicator of the mood about the president. It's a meme stock, in other words. Stock trades only on how people feel about the president. But they've taken that meme stock and they've swapped it for cash and Bitcoin. So they have $3.1 billion of cash and Bitcoin on the books. The president holds 42% of that company. His share of that is more than $1 billion. So that's a $1 billion bump in his net worth just in the last couple months.
All this, and the Trump family still denies wrongdoing, framing it as smart business. But critics argue this isn't entrepreneurship, it's exploitation.
Brian, it's infuriating. We had nowhere to go. Capital One stripped 300 bank accounts from me, 300 in the middle of the night. We didn't have a damn choice. Trump was the only guy that was actually a businessman before that. Are we supposed to stop running our businesses? Are we supposed to stop doing anything? He's not involved in these things. We are running those businesses as we have.
So during the first term, President Trump, on his way into office, volunteered that he and his family were not going to do any deals overseas because they didn't like the way that looked, right? It raises the specter that some foreign interest or even foreign government is going to try to buy favor with the U.S. government by paying Trump and his family privately. During the second term, the family has said, we're not going to do that anymore. We're no longer going to abstain from those deals. Donald Trump Jr. has said publicly, look, we restrained ourselves last term and people accused us of profiteering anyway. So we're not going to lock ourselves in, quote unquote, the proverbial padded room. We're just going to go ahead and be businessmen and do as many deals as we can. And they've done quite a few. Now, again, in my accounting, I'm not including deals which appear to be extensions of the business they were in before he was elected. He had licensed his name for use on 4 condominium buildings around India before he ever went into the White House. Now there are 5 more Indian projects. Fine, let's leave that aside. That's more or less legitimate Trump business.
Each dollar earned was tied into a presidency meant to serve the public. The consequences are lasting: weakened norms, shaken institutions, and a president that could tempt future leaders.
Well, those are points that the family's made before. On the first part, in a kind of a garbled way, what Eric Trump's saying there is that they got into crypto because they feel they were blackballed by the big banks. What he's leaving out is the banks that stopped doing business with the family did so after the attack on the Capitol of January 6th. And other banks did step in. The other point that Don Jr. is making, which is that they're a business family, they should be able to stay in business. When I went through their income streams, I set aside all the money that's their old business. The hotels, things like the hotel, all the deals that grew out of their old business. Okay, fine. A lot of people might say they should have divested from that, but fine. But I'm only talking about ways that they're trying to monetize the presidency, ways that in one way or the other, they're trying to cash in specifically on the fact that Donald Trump is in the Oval Office. Nobody's done that before, and that's what's so exceptional here.
If profiteering from the White House goes unpunished, what stops the next president from doing worse? America now faces a choice: restore the line between governance and greed, or watch its democracy auctioned off piece by piece. The frenzy may be over, but the damage lingers. Do you think the Trump family turned the White House into a business empire? Should presidents be allowed to profit personally while in office? Let us know in the comment section. Is this the start of American kleptocracy or just politics as usual?